rumor has it Usopp is supremely competent. Amazing. What's that? This is a special? It isn't canon. Oh, okay. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-boo. Boo. 3.5, not a real season. 3.5, but still king of the what? Now 3.5. Gonna watch some pirates. 3.5 before season 4.
Start the show!
Hello, fellow adventures of the Grand Line, or fellow adventures of the alternate universe, the Grand Pingu. Zipangu. And welcome to episode 76 of King of the What Now?
You doing okay, babe? That intro was a little rough.
Look, I was in our normal dimension. I was suddenly in another dimension for like 40 minutes for a New Year's special, and then I was just thrown back, okay? It's a wicked headache. But we are a One Piece podcast that's reviewing the anime One Piece from the very beginning. I'm your host, Joel, longtime fan of the series. And today, I am from an alternate future, or an alternate universe that takes place in the future. Everyone's scientists and or robots.
And I'm Curtis, one of the co-hosts and a casual One Piece fan. And I am a robot servant whose head just fell off, and it's a little disconcerting.
It's a little freaky. I'm gonna take the tea from you really quick so I don't activate some like booby trap or something.
His head fell off. Hey everyone, I'm Kat, and I am just a simple being, very tired. And I've been a turtle this whole time. What? Didn't see that one coming, did you?
Holy crap, it was a turtle that was submerged so it just looked like a bean. It's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. So we did not watch our regular episodes of the anime. We watched a couple of things out of order. We saw One Piece Movie 7, which I believe is called like Karakuri Islands and the Mecha Soldier. And then we also saw the New Year's special, which I think is just called like Chief Luffy or something like that. We watched the episodes out of order because it wouldn't make sense to just put this special in the middle of the upcoming episodes. And your super succinct summary is there were robots and also feudal era Japan.
Good. That's a good summary, Joel.
That's as succinct as I could possibly get.
I don't know how you could have got more succinct other than to say One Piece.
We watch a thing.
So the slightly longer succinct summary. I'm going to start off with the special. So we're in an alternate reality where Luffy is the local chief of police, I think, in a feudal Japanese town. He's the chief of something. And Buggy and the Clown Clan show up to wreak havoc. Luffy faces them and drives them out of town. Later, a newcomer named Vivi appears.
What?
Yeah. And apparently the Clown Clan wants to capture her and hold her for ransom because, unbeknownst to Luffy and the others, she's actually a princess.
What?
I know. Who would have seen that coming?
What is she a princess of? You
Friendship.
know, you have Cadence, who's the princess of love, and you have Twilight, who's the princess of friendship. She can't be the same princess as someone else. It's one of
Maybe
the other
I
ponies.
don't recognize Twilight's rule because she sucks.
She wasn't born into power. She acquired it like some kind of weird French revolutionary figure.
So did Cadence.
Oh, okay, cool.
Back to One Piece, though. Curtis, what is Vivi the princess of?
The town? I don't know.
You know what? She's the princess of beans because I know for sure that she rules my heart.
And you are, as we've established, a bean. But actually you're a turtle, so she doesn't rule your heart after all.
Ooh.
But yeah, so that all ends with Luffy and Zoro defeating the Clown Clan and keeping Vivi safe. And all is well in this alternate reality that we don't come back to.
Yet.
I was going to say maybe. We'll see. Also, Clown Clan. That's very hard to say.
Yeah.
Clown Clan. Yeah, it is. You were right the whole time.
Thank you for proving me correct.
I just want to take a moment to say I love my wife, but I'm going to make sure that she promptly goes to bed after we finish this recording.
But I want to play more Fire Emblem.
I mean, use your time as you would find most appropriate.
Like romancing one of the characters so that they join your house.
Exactly.
What house are we part of? The Eagles? No, we're not the Eagles. We're the Lions. Go Lions!
Blue
No.
Lions!
No, we're part of the Straw Hats. And back to the Straw
that's
Hats
right.
now. Yeah, so the other one, the movie that we watched, starts with the Straw Hats saving a woman who is trapped in a treasure chest in a wrecked pirate ship. They promise to return her to her island in exchange for the Golden Crown. Ooh.
The magical MacGuffin of this movie that will, because it's a One Piece movie, inevitably be nothing.
I
Like, let's wait till you get to that part of the summary, but, like, as soon as they mentioned the Golden Crown, this is another movie I hadn't seen, I went, how is this going to be a crock of shit, just like every other thing that they've ever chased after?
I briefly thought it was going to be the sun, like, coming up over the edge of the island.
Oh, I thought you meant the son, who I was just about to introduce.
Oh, well, introduce us to him.
Yeah, so they get to the island, and the woman's son, whose name I did not write down, and which
Ratchet.
I'd forgotten. Oh my god, how did I forget that? 1 second, I'm going to write that down now.
Unfortunately, neither of his minions/buddies are named Clank, which is just a missed opportunity.
I mean, probably timing, right?
Exactly.
They are named Seahawk and Big Fist.
Wait, Seahawk?
They're not actually. That's a joke about his mohawk being blue and green.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow.
His name, the big guy's name is Chief Honky, and I know that because as soon as they said that, I went, that's racist.
Oh, let's get
Japan.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Oda sometimes. He didn't write this one, so I can't give him credit. Anyways, yeah, so we meet Ratchet, who is a quote unquote genius who has built defenses on the island. After surviving some of his defenses, the Straw Hats are stranded, but begin solving a riddle hidden in a song to find the Golden Crown. They solve it, and by that I mean that Luffy accidentally finds like his way along the path of the clues just by happenstance.
He literally stumbles to the treasure every step of the way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like he just randomly punches something and it's like, oh, look, a door.
And of course it's Luffy instead of one of the smart ones figuring it out because he's the main character.
I love how, we can talk about this more, but I love how Nami is constantly like, oh my god, Luffy, I was working so hard on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the Ratchet at this point decides to team up with the Straw Hats. However, when they get to the end of the quest, it turns out what they've done is actually awoken the giant turtle that makes up the island they're on. And the Sun has grand plans for using that turtle for global conquest. He doesn't care about the Golden Crown at all.
Oh my god.
And so the Straw Hats fight and defeat Ratchet and his friends, and using a combo attack with 4 of them, which was actually kind of cool, they destroy the castle using Luffy as a giant buzzsaw. Which, I mean, okay. And,
that was an awesome combo attack.
No, it was
great.
It was an awesome combo attack. Rubber buzzsaw, okay.
You have the same problem with the combo attack that I do.
But so they destroy the castle that was used to control the turtle, and then in the end, the turtle's safe, and they also get their treasure, which was half of a giant golden turtle eggshell.
Which I believe dissolves is what the end credits kind of indicates, and so they end up losing it. So it's not a completely irrelevant MacGuffin, it's just dissolvable in water.
Not the biggest crock of shit, but like it's a little pot full.
Oh wait, did it? I might have stopped the credits too soon, because last I saw they were like, how much money do you think we have between this and what we got in Skypiea?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was sinking or dissolving, but it was definitely gone.
Oh, darn.
And they sang a cute song, which was the best part of the movie.
Also, in case you listeners have not actually seen this movie, it takes place canonically, if it were to be canon, it takes place before Water 7, so neither Robin nor Usopp have left the crew, and also they are sailing unmarried, not a care in the world.
Yep, no, Mary is in one piece, and boom. And it has not been tossed out of a raised dock.
No, lost to sea forever.
No. Oh, and by the way, that has been your Succinct summary.
Thanks for listening. Outro goes here.
That's it. That's all we do. We just give succinct summaries and leave out some of the important points. Well, not the important points, but some of the smaller details that make it more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, for some reason, the way you said, like, succinct summary, it reminded me of Matt Pat's, that's just a theory, a game theory. So I
was definitely considering dragging it on a little bit longer, but then I was like, I don't think we want to do that.
Correction. You didn't think that Joel wanted you to do that, and you are correct. You were able to read my mind.
So this movie, I'm going to talk about the movie first.
Sure.
This movie was like a lot and simultaneously nothing at all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think, like Curtis, please tell me if we're wrong, if you disagree, but this movie was bad.
It was
pretty much.
Yeah, no, it was not great. It was okay. It had its moments, but overall it was just kind of like I wasn't that interested in it. I definitely was playing it on a faster speed to get through it, as fast as I could read the subtitles.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, we played it at the regular speed, but it's just, oh man. The director of this movie, and also, spoiler alert, fun fact, of the next movie, they apparently thought that the figure of the women was the drawing point, the selling point of this anime, and so the women were better endowed, Nami and Robin were, and there was a lot more jiggle physics.
They were jiggling all over the place. Like, there were moments when Nami was standing still and her boobs would jiggle just because. And there were a couple of times where they were making the boyoing sound that usually is a Luffy rubber sound. It was not great.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It was overdone by a lot.
Well, and like, it's not in the series. Like, as a regular thing. We don't get jiggle physics in most of One Piece. So having it randomly in this movie was very off-putting for me.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, the word jiggle physics just makes me giggle constantly.
There's never really been a time.
Jiggle physics.
There's never been a time when that phrase will come up where it, like, adds anything to the conversation, you know? Yes, they had a debate about climate change last night, and they brought jiggle physics up, and that just completely changed my viewpoint.
What if you are talking about the optimal height for a Jell-O cake?
Okay, I guess that is the resonant frequency of the Jell-O tower. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly, right? Like, if you get it too high, it might jiggle itself to pieces. So you need it to jiggle just the right amount to give you the jiggle giggles.
Okay. And to go back to something that's a little bit more central to the plot of this movie, I realized something when watching this movie. I have never seen a movie where the characters have to solve a riddle where it was actually satisfactory to me. Every single time you have a character who's like, oh man, this song holds the clue to defeating the bad guy, what are we gonna do? Very rarely have I ever seen it play out in a meaningful way. You basically just get characters sitting around and staring at the wall for 5 minutes until someone goes, I got it! And that doesn't make for interesting movies, at all.
No, how would you do it? How would you think it would be more interesting?
I don't know, as a book or a video game. Like, honestly, if you're playing a game and there's a riddle, then you can kind of like try to figure it out by playing around. Or if you could interact and you could choose which characters to talk to, say like you have a party of like 6 people, maybe, red-haired Joe can solve the second stanza of the puzzle and Maria can figure out the third stanza, and then you actually have to like figure out who would you talk to figure out the first one, because like who on your crew is best at solving this kind of puzzle, sort of thing.
Yeah, or like a fun montage of them trying different things, like set to upbeat music. That would be at least visually entertaining.
Yeah.
When they were doing the riddle solving part, I kept thinking, these are some good puzzle ideas for a D&D game. If I was gonna do a D&D dungeon and I wanted my players to solve a puzzle.
Exactly, yeah. The reason I said book is because I think the pacing is a little bit better. Like movies, if they go on for too long, people are gonna lose interest. But with a book, you can have a little bit more time to space out the character puzzling through it. Or with a video game, you get that interactivity that you would also get from, say, D&D, like you're talking about. Curtis, were you just enthralled by the riddle, or did you ever solve any of the pieces before the crew did?
No. And also, like, a bunch of it was Japanese puns, which didn't help much.
No, none of us are well versed enough in Japanese to be able to figure that out.
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I appreciated the fact that, like, Nami was continually frustrated by, like, these are just stupid riddles because all they are just puns.
Which I just honestly... Okay, so the reason that there's this puzzle, and the reason that the island's actually a turtle, is because, like, 1,000 years ago, this turtle made a pact with the people on the island and decided to be their island, and they decided to, like, love the turtle or something like that, like something really dumb.
The leader or the founder of the island rescued the turtle, and the turtle was like, "I'll carry you on my back."
Okay.
And so the turtle carries him and his descendants on its back, and in exchange, they wake it up so it can have its babies, and they protect it.
But that's really dumb, right? Like, why did they set it up in this, like, weird puzzle roundabout way? Did they suspect that in 1,000 years someone would build a contraption that would be able to control the turtle, so only the pure of heart should be able to solve the puzzle? It makes no goddamn sense. It's like they looked at the fourth wall and went, you know what, we're in a movie, we should spice this up.
I mean, it depends on, like, how good their record keeping is, because sometimes, like, you could make the argument that they were like, well, if we write this down on a stone tablet over 1,000 years, if people don't take care of it, it might fade or break or something. Or, like, we don't trust people to continuously, like, maintain the records and have it be accurate at the end. But if we make it into a cultural piece, then it might hang on for longer.
I guess that's true. Yeah, all the kids are just running around and be like, hey, did you hear that hit new single? There blows the sails or whatever the heck.
But yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, I would think what you would want to do is you'd want to take multiple paths for keeping track of this information, right? Like, it should be written down in sacred text and, like, also part of a song and also inscribed, like, on the door frame of every house or something crazy like that.
It should be a tattoo that the chief has on their back, and whenever their son is born, that son or daughter gets it tattooed on their back, and so therefore...
Didn't that happen in one of the One Piece movies?
Yeah, there was a daughter who had the map put on her by her dad, but that just ended up making her a target. But this isn't a map, it's a song, so it's different.
Oh, okay. You know what I didn't get?
Go ahead.
So only the male descendants of this guy could read the information about the turtle after solving the riddle.
I think so, or like they were the only ones who could awaken it or something.
But Robin could read it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an error in translation. Because, you know, we had to fly to Japan to watch this one. It's not available in the States.
Absolutely.
No, I was just wondering if it was like, not that they only the male heirs can, but that they passed it down that way. So it was more of a rule, not a like physical inability.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Your Name, the main female character and her mother and the mother before her, they were the ones in charge of the shrine, whereas the men who married into the family, they didn't really have any stake in it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they usually keep rice in the shrines.
Yeah.
They didn't have any stake in it. The previous joke was not found funny. Podcaster will pay for her crimes. Also, like, why did the turtle need people to wake it up? It's a turtle. It can't wake up whenever it wants. And the puzzle. Imagine the time it takes to reset that puzzle.
I was going to ask if you two thought it could be reset. Maybe this turtle only lays its eggs once and then dies. Because I don't think, they're not like, this is the third wakening cycle. Like, this is the only time they've woken it up. How do they know it's going to be 1,000 years? Could they talk to the goddamn turtle? Did the turtle show up with like a little note on its collar? And they're like, if found, this turtle needs to be woken every 1,000 years. Signed the previous owners who died in a turtle turtle-related accident.
Somebody dove underwater and they saw the turtle's cloaca and they were like, this thing's ready to pop something out. We should wake it up eventually.
What the hell?
I was really upset at the scene when it was laying its eggs because you very clearly could see the turtle cloaca open up and like an egg pop out. It was weird.
Hot take, stop saying turtle cloaca. It's
actually,
unnatural.
I think it is natural.
Moist jiggling turtle cloaca. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna leave.
But yeah, no, like, well, also, so they did that to drain the water, right? So why have the water in there in the first place? And then on top of that, is this all inside the turtle? Because they went like deep into it. So what is this like? Are they in the turtle's body and they have to use electricity to wake it up or something? What's going on? I don't understand.
Did they electrocute that turtle? Get up! It's time to wake up and lay some baby eggs.
Did Nami creating the lightning bolt actually do anything?
Yeah,
what did it do? It woke it up?
Like,
yeah.
So
hexagon or octagon or whatever.
Okay, so did they expect 1,000 years ago, they're like, I know what, we're gonna leave this riddle, and they're gonna have to make the bird statue fall over, probably with TNT, because, you know, not everyone's as strong as Luffy. And then they're going to have to wait until a freaking storm blows by? Like, what is this puzzle? What is this bullshit? Okay.
So, they designed this puzzle 1,000 years ago. Back when they had all kinds of cool technology like computers where they stored all the information on how to do this process, and they just assumed someone would go up with like a generator and plug it in and start it.
Okay.
But then they lost the computer, so the only remnant was a random song that some kid used to try to remember the rules, and that got passed down. And then there was no way to start it up, and they just happened to get lucky that somebody came by with the ability to generate electricity.
Oh my god, you're brilliant. You know, speaking of luck, though, everything about this movie just screams Luffy happened upon the treasure. Like, I know I already mentioned that he's kind of the one who solves all of the puzzles by accident, but they make a point of looking at him saying, wow, how lucky was that? How lucky was this? How lucky was that? And it almost feels like in the normal One Piece, in the canonical One Piece adventure, you know, when Luffy was about to get beheaded by Buggy, lightning struck and he was free, and you're like, wow, what a strange coincidence. But then this guy shows up and it's implied that he can control the storm. So it's not really coincidence. This weird guy named Dragon kind of helped him out. When Luffy was stabbed by Crocodile and he was going to die, Robin dug him out and saved him. So you're like, oh, how lucky he managed to survive. But it's not really luck because he endeared himself to this woman who was on the enemy's team but wanted to save him. So in the main One Piece canon, Luffy is lucky a lot, but in the end, the luck is kind of either created by him because he makes such good friends or whatever, or it's like the weather happened to be special or something. Whereas in this movie, it feels like they're like, you know, that plot armor that Luffy has in very small amounts in occasional moments, let's turn that up to an 11. Let's make that a main integral plot point, but then not have it actually be part of the resolution. It's just part of getting to the end fight so you can punch the robot, which was an entirely unsatisfying battle. It was over in like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. And it was just,
I do think that the scene of Zoro like flipping out of the roller coaster cart and being like, I'm ready to fight you now. That was cool. That was pretty cool.
All right, I will give Zoro that one single scene, but everything else is just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, like, I was definitely dissatisfied with the final fight scenes. Like, none of the fights interested me. And then Robin and Sanji just happened into the control room, right?
Yep.
And there was nothing there. So they smashed it all.
I actually kind of like that a little bit, that Sanji's not good at machines and he tried to turn on a couple of buttons and accidentally just like kick the crap out of it. But you'd think that Robin would be able to talk him out of it. You'd think she'd be smart enough to be like, wait, hang on a second.
That was super cute though. Sanji's face when he was like, I kind of just broke it off.
When he did the Gomenasai and he like bows, that was pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
I do like the combo attack, which Curtis has already outlined, and Catherine, you already said that you really liked it. But for those of you who didn't get a chance to see this movie, and I wouldn't recommend it, what they did is Usopp fired the cannon, And then Sanji kicked it up to Zoro, who did his Dragon Twister 3-sword style attack to knock it up into the air, where Luffy had, like, stretched his arms out really far, and he used the momentum of the cannonball to, like, twist his torso around. And then when he let go, he started spinning faster and faster and faster and faster, to the point where he could cut through the castle like a buzzsaw? It's a cool combo attack, but it's a dumb, like, he's made out of flesh. As soon as he hits that rock, he's not going to just crush through it. But
yeah. Well, I mean, so it's not the same thing, though. I was going to say it's kind of like a weed whacker, where the part is plastic, but then in that case, you're cutting grass.
Which is a little bit more pliable, exactly, than stone.
Listen, how do we know that they had any decent metal on this island at all to make robots out of?
It's a goddamn
when they
turtle.
live on a goddamn turtle. So maybe his robots were made of, like, grass and cardboard.
Okay,
That's a good question. Where did they get all of this material? Also, how do they, like, survive and plant crops on the turtle?
I mean, the turtle was covered in dirt.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, but at the same... It stretches the imagination and the suspension and disbelief in a way that I don't like a little bit, if I can be honest. The other thing, too, so I've seen the rubber chainsaw. I don't remember what the name of the attack is. I've seen that clip on YouTube before. And so when we were watching this movie, I kept waiting for it to happen, and the crew gets separated. Like, at one point, I think Chopper and Usopp are on the ship, and I think Zoro is on the railroad tracks, and Robin's in the control room. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, this is how they end up doing the combo attack, because by sheer coincidence, they all ended up in different parts of the island, and they have to, like, communicate with, like, I don't know, smoke signals or something, and they happen to work together. But what actually happened is the entire crew gets separated, and then they come back together and agree to go their separate ways so they can set up the combo attack. Which is freaking ridiculous, because if they had just stayed separated, it would have been even cooler. It'd be like, oh, they're such a good crew that they can kind of, like, read each other's minds without communicating.
Yeah.
Rather than they're gonna do a group huddle like it's a freaking football play, and they're gonna be like, all right, Chopper, you throw the ball to Zoro, who's gonna run to the 20-yard line or whatever.
Well, can you just imagine Zoro, like, tightening his grip on his blades and being like, I just gotta trust that guy to do his part. And then he does a thing with a sword, and then it goes to Sanji, and Sanji's like, here it comes. And Sanji, that would have been better. Would have been better. It's possible to have a good One Piece movie, but this was just not it.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of the combo, that reminded me. The part when they're going into the cave on that boat, and Luffy takes over the boat, and, like, they shove it through this
like the narrow, exactly, corridor type thing.
Yeah, and they destroy the boat, and then they go off this waterfall. So there's this part at the bottom where Sanji has Luffy inflate himself to help ease their fall.
Yeah, he, like, throws him under the ship, right, or something?
Yeah, and so they bounce off of Luffy, and then Sanji grabs Luffy to keep him from going under the water, and then Luffy stretches his arm to grab onto the ship and pull himself back onto it. That part was pretty cool.
That part was awesome, and it just give me an AU where Sanji's a surfer boy or a skier boy, because, like, I really liked his facial expression. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he was kind of, like, grinning, and it was just like, oh, we're having a good time. Also, okay, so I'm sorry, I should stop hating on this movie. I should point out the things I liked about it, but what if the people who are supposed to wake up the turtle misjudged the gap and died? What do you do then? How do you wake up the turtle?
What if, like, what if all the inhabitants, just one after one, go to try to wake up the turtle and they all die, and then the turtle never wakes up and everybody's dead?
Yeah, and there were all those smashed boats in there, so clearly a lot of people did mess it up.
But how?
Oh my God.
How were there smashed boats in there when the only opening was the goddamn snake that Luffy had to punch, and it showed no damage of previously being punched?
Maybe they got destroyed when they were trying to build this whole... I don't know.
Those were the test dummies. They're like, okay, we need to see if the corridor is wide enough to get a ship through. Oops, there goes Granny.
So I have...
Also,
oh, go ahead, Curtis.
Why is it that narrow in the first place?
Right?
Like, what's the point?
I really feel as though the people who set up this turtle civilization feared a turtle invasion. So what they did is they tried to make it as hard as possible to wake up the turtle, when waking up the turtle isn't a bad thing. The only way that waking up the turtle is a bad thing is as if you have a giant castle. And why does Ratchet even want to use the turtle to destroy the world? What about the turtle says world domination?
It's a big turtle, Joel. He was gonna ride it over the top of neighboring islands.
That's so horrible, and I'm sure that it wouldn't cause any damage to the turtle's soft underbelly parts.
Turtles have shells on the underside.
I guess they do, don't they? I'm thinking of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that have a little bit more like, the tummy.
Yeah. So I have one more thought/question about this movie, and then we can move on to the world famous ad segment if you want, or you guys can share other thoughts you had. But here's my question. Best expected treasure got a person, Gaimon or Granny?
Gaimon. Gaimon is a weirdo, but Ratchet tried to destroy the world with a turtle. I need to stress that. Roba, her name is apparently Roba according to the wiki. I don't know if she ever said her name out loud, but Roba was such a bad mom that she raised a son who was going to destroy the world with a turtle. Gaimon's weirdest thing is that he had weird hair.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, she tried to put it right when she figured out what he was doing, and she was kind of cute.
I mean, to be fair, she was spanking him in the credits, so, like, he learned his lesson for sure. He's not going to try to destroy the world with a giant turtle after receiving a spanking.
To be clear, we're not necessarily advocating for spanking your children unless they try to use a giant turtle to destroy the world.
What I'm trying to say is that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. You're slapping him on the wrist and being like, bad boy, when he tried to, and I need to stress this again, destroy the world with a turtle!
I mean, conquer the world with a turtle. There has to be something left so he can rule it.
There you go.
You know what Crocodile really needed at the end of the Alabasta arc? He needed a grandma to give him a spanking.
Yeah, exactly. There is one thing that we need to talk about that final fight, other than the fact that it's completely underwhelming. So this giant mecha suit dude tries to punch Luffy, and he's almost buckling underneath it. He gets into this kind of like kneeling position, and then his body does this kind of weird thing. Like you hear this like bloop sound. I don't know if there was actually a sound, but his body kind of contorts in a weird way. And he starts steaming, and he literally launches the robot like it's Team Rocket from Pokemon. So like, was he just getting like a really good workout? Was the robot actually like a walking sauna and he was getting cleansed?
Yeah, like I think the robot was just crushing him, and that was his rubber body rebounding and pushing the robot back up.
Okay.
Maybe. So we've talked about like how far can Luffy stretch, but we've never talked about how far can Luffy compress.
Oh.
And maybe he was reaching the limits of his compressive ability. And the atoms in his body were beginning to fuse, and that was the steam coming off from that energy. So we now have a nuclear Luffy who is super strong.
Oh my
and
God.
a little bit more mutated than normal.
I love that. Do you think that'll carry over into canon as well?
One can only hope.
Nuclear Luffy coming soon to an island near you.
But here's the thing, he can't activate that power when he's around his friends because he wants to protect his friends, and if he radiates them into goo, then, they'll be in excruciating pain.
I got something here. Nuclear Luffy, don't make fun of his dream or he'll go off.
And that has been your thought before we go to the ad. Hello, folks. We're here today with Life Beyond. It is a company that brings you everything that lets you take your life beyond. They help you in the realm of finance. They help you in social situations. They help you get ahead in your business. They help you with the romance. They're there for you when you're going through your lowest lows, and they're there with you to celebrate your highest highs. They're like the sweet taste of cake or whatever your favorite tasting thing is. If you hate cake, then, all right, they taste like celery or whatever. And they're here today with a brand new revolutionary product. So it is time for Stars, Moon, and Space 2.0. That's right. For a limited time only, you can take the moon, beyond the moon, the stars, beyond the stars.
And the moon.
Yes, because the stars were already beyond the moon, so to make them beyond that, yes, of course. And then you can also take the sun, your one and only sun, and take it beyond the sun. So now you can love your son even more than you love your daughter.
I was going to say, which are we spelling sun? S-U-N or S-O-N or some other sun?
S-Y-U-N-N-E.
The Life Plus Snake has not approved of this joke. Please return to the provided copy.
Yes, all hail the Snake 2.0. We shall return to our regularly scheduled ad.
You can take your son beyond your son.
So yes, we all know the sun. We love it. Without it, we wouldn't have life on Earth because it provides the sun, which makes the plants, which then allows the lizards to eat the birds or something like that. I didn't pay attention in biology class. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. The circle of life, Hakuna Matata, it means kill your father or something.
There's one tarantula that eats birds and small lizards.
Interesting. Sorry, it's not kill your father. It's hold yourself responsible for your father's death, but actually it's your uncle. That's the plot of that movie.
Oh, thank you for the clarification.
So, Catherine, why don't you tell us about the many wonderful ways that all of these different products can help you?
I will. I'm going to start with Sun 2.0, going beyond the sun. So, Joel, we run a lot. We run outside. And we get sunburns sometimes, and those are pretty unpleasant, right?
Occasionally, yes.
So, with the new Sun 2.0, you don't get sunburns. You get sun hugs.
Oh, okay, that's perfect.
Your skin remains whole and unblemished, and you feel nice and toasty like a little hazelnut coming out of the oven.
But Catherine, what if I'm one of the many people online who finds themselves uncomfortable with physical contact? How do the hugs still manifest as physical touch?
They do not. The sun, first, always asks for consent. It's a very polite sun, unlike our current sun. Second, if you do not consent to a hug, it might give you a finger boop, or a fist bump, or a swift, rousing round of jazz hands. Whatever you need, it will provide.
That's pretty incredible. The other day I was waking up and I was having a hard time. You know, some people are like, oh, good morning, sun, but the sun's never said good morning back. And so I was just sitting there, I was kind of tired, and Sun 2.0 just came and gave me a protein bar. I was like, here, buddy. And it was even like, it was gluten-free and it was low carb, so it was perfect for my needs.
What a pal. Sun 2.0 is certified as a personal dietitian and trainer, and it will help you with all of those needs. Now, as for the Moon 2.0, what do we know about the moon?
Turns people into werewolves.
It turns people into werewolves. It's mysterious. It's beautiful. It's gay? I've heard that online. The moon is gay.
Gay for who? For whomst?
I don't know.
Okay, we need to go to the online. We need to conduct a poll. Who is the moon gay for?
I didn't decide that the moon was gay.
You're just the reporter.
I was just told the moon is a girl and she's gay.
Okay.
Anyway, this is getting out of control. I apologize, listeners. Moon 2.0 is all of those things and then a little bit more. You want mysterious? You won't even see this moon. You want gay? It is at the front of the Pride Parade.
All right, and also, with the moon, people turn into werewolves. With Moon 2.0, super werewolves. You turn into werewolves, and your fists are miniature werewolves that can then shoot wolf lasers that turn other people into werewolves.
We call these super werewolves scarewolves.
Or, if you're the rare genetic combination that allows you to be part wolf and part bear, it's a bear wolf. So, Curtis, how would you like to tell us about your experience with Stars 2.0 and the many wonderful ways that it could take your life beyond?
Well, so you know how we humans have created constellations to help us understand or remember where the different stars are in that?
Naturally.
So, Stars 2.0 come with pre-built constellations, and when you look up, they will actually animate and move, and they will tell you what their name is. It's
perfect.
It's a little bit irritating because you could have your neighbor out stargazing, and then all of a sudden you hear like, I am Orion coming from the sky. It's a little irritating, but you know, it's nice for the stargazers at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we as a modern society, we look back on the Greek and the Roman mythologies and we're like, oh man, what interesting stories. But, you know, there have been more stories since then and they don't get turned into constellations. What's nice about Stars 2.0 is that it can also rearrange itself and it can update its pantheon so it's more inclusive to more mythologies, and that it's also updating with all of the current ones. You want a Harry Potter star or a Luke Skywalker constellation? Those are up there with Stars 2.0. And also, stars, you know, regular stars, they're all kind of the same color, to be honest, and it gets a little boring, but
that's racist.
Stars 2.0 are a multicolored delight for the senses.
Like America. I'm sorry, you can cut that.
Like a rainbow supporting their friend Moon 2.0 in its super gayness. And with that, remember that life beyond will help take your life beyond. It's kind of written right there, dummy.
Please note that Life Beyond does not involve anything about the life beyond this one.
Now back to you. That was just the sound of Snake 2.0 whispering in my ear.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry if it was a bad sound. You can cut it later if you need to.
So I yelled plenty about the
Movie 7.
Movie 7. What was it? Okay, I need to look this up really quick. I had the wiki open. It's called The Giant Mechanical Soldier of Karakuri Castle. However, there was no giant soldier at Karakuri Castle.
Karakuri Castle was the mechanical soldier? Kind of. I wouldn't even call it a soldier.
I mean,
his final robot suit, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say he had a couple robot suits that were kind of like mechanical soldiers.
It's just, oh my god, and Curse, you already outlined this, but, you know, the guy's supposed to be a genius and he built these robots, but then he's also incredibly stupid in a lot of other ways, and I get it. A lot of Oda's characters have their quirks about them, such as, you know, Vivi's guy, crap, what's his name? Igaram, you know, like that's kind of funny, you know? All of these characters have, you know, their quirks about them, and so I think the quirk they wanted to give him is that he was very smart in certain ways, but, like, bad at reading the situation other ways, but honestly, it just made me feel like he wasn't a threat at all. Like, I was just laughing the entire time. He's like, I'm gonna take over the world with a turtle! Okay, you do that, buddy. You can't even finish, you know, an oven that doesn't explode when you turn it on.
Yeah, so we have now made our views on the movie very clear. We watched...
Quick! Escape to an alternate reality! Perhaps taking place in another timeline.
Ooh. Where they still
Welcome to ancient Greece.
Devil fruit powers. Oh man, the ancient Greeks would have been so if they'd have devil fruit powers. They were already a little to be clear. I'm sorry for saying that much, Joel. This is going to be a lot of bleeps.
This is going to be a lot of editing he's going to have to do.
God, just take it and shove it straight up the...
Why?
Because I was going to bleep out parts of that too as well, just for the heck of it, because I might as well, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. So, this story is rather interesting because for the longest time we've discussed whether filler was good or bad, as have the folks over at Piece Together. And a lot of the times we feel as though the stories have to be constrained in a certain way in order to make sure that they kind of sort of fit into canon. You know, Luffy agrees to a second Davy back fight because it sounds like fun, even though he almost lost some crew members, so the only reason he agrees is because the filler had to have a second set of Davy back fights. We didn't really like the way that characters are characterized in some of the specials where Sanji's a love-struck idiot more so than usual, or Nami's kind of stupid, or this or that or the other thing. So this is an interesting story because it just takes place in an entirely separate storyline. So, Kat, Curtis, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that this type of filler works better than filler that has to try and pretend like it's taking place in the actual canon?
Yes, I think this is delightful. We should have more of this.
I agree. I liked the concept, and it was just, I don't know. It was a fun little jaunt, even though it was kind of some, like, a rehashing of some stories we've already done.
Well, and, like, I keep begging for filler to have some sort of continuity. Bring back one character who showed up in a filler arc and have them show up in multiple filler arcs, Hoyd style. And I feel like you could do that if you were doing an alt-universe filler arc, because you could just have every filler arc be more episodes from the alt-universe.
Do you guys want a slight peek into the future?
Yeah.
So this AU is not dead. It's coming back in later specials. I believe, so the original one, the first episode that we watched, which was actually like 2 stories in one, it was released as a New Year's special, and I believe the other ones also came out in subsequent years for the holiday season. I haven't seen them, but I know for sure that they show up more than once.
Oh, that's gonna be fun though, and I like it because like New Year's in Japan is fun, and it's just nice, even though it was spring in the show. Okay.
Well, and you get to see characters in a slightly different way. You had Zoro actually broke the 4th wall in that first episode. I believe it was Kabaji. He showed up and he's like, "I'm the strongest swordsman," and it shows Zoro, who's like this wandering samurai, and he looks at the camera and he goes, "Yeah, right," and he keeps walking. And like, that's a fun joke you couldn't do in regular filler because it has to pretend like they don't know that they're in a show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or like I like the narrator at the beginning. They're like, "This is a different universe. Just have fun with it."
Yeah, they were like, this could have happened in another place at another time. I love Boss Luffy. Or not Boss Luffy, sorry, that's a different thing. I love Chief Luffy. I think being the police chief of a small, sleepy town where not a lot of crime happens is literally the perfect job for him if he weren't out being a pirate. He just seems like, everybody's Uncle Luffy. He seems like the guy who would play with the kids and hang out in the local bar and just be a really cool chief of police.
Okay, so I keep wanting to call Luffy Boss Luffy, and I was trying to figure out, like, why. Is there another filler where he's Boss Luffy or that sort of thing? However, they call him Oyabin, and I just did a quick Google, and apparently it can mean boss, chief, head, or leader. And so maybe there was an alternate translation that I saw somewhere where he was called Boss Luffy, even though it's clearly chief, because I think he's supposed to be the chief of the police force, which is him and Usopp.
See, I have like a clear sense memory of going through the episodes on Hulu, and there was one called like Boss Luffy Returns or something, and I assumed it was like an alternate universe where they were a mob. But maybe I made this up. Maybe I dreamt it.
Boss Luffy Returns is the next episode that takes place in feudal era Japan. Yes! I'm telling you, Oyabin can translate.
No,
from one
I
to the
believe
other.
you. I was just saying I thought that they did many different alternate universes, and so there was one where they were mafia.
I was just gonna say that'd be interesting. I could totally see Sanji being like a cook for the mafia. He's dressed like it.
Yes. Can I give you a very small spoiler, Curtis?
Sure.
There is a special in the future where they are all monsters. Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna be a vampire.
I mean, very maybe, possibly. They did release the 2019 like alternate costumes for a lot of the Straw Hat characters for the One Piece Tower, I think it's called. God, I wish I researched things before we did these episodes. But I believe that this year Sanji is a wolfman. And then Zoro didn't really look that much different than usual, but he had like a coffin slung over his shoulder, and they gave Mihawk extra ruffles. He just had so many neck ruffles.
So many ruffles. I won't spoil what all the Straw Hats were, but I will say that I watched that monster special on YouTube in Spanish, and I did not know what was happening. But I watched the whole thing because I wanted to know what was going to happen.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's golden.
Okay, let's return to Luffy really quick because, usually I try to come up with some interesting questions that we could ask if we ever have a lull in conversation and everyone's kind of already said what they wanted to say. And for this one, I only had one, really. And that question is, Boss Luffy, Chief Luffy, whichever one you want to call him, the Luffy from this special, I feel is different than what I'm calling Pirate Luffy, the Luffy from the regular timeline. Now, I'm trying to figure out, is he significantly different because it's a special and you can kind of change people's quirks, or is he just a little bit different and it's kind of like the setting that changed how he acts to the people around him? What do you guys think?
I've got an answer for this if you want to think about it, Curtis.
No, I got one too, but you go first.
Okay, cool. So I think what they did is they took Luffy's kind of easygoing, laid-back attitude and they dialed it up to 100. Like, this version of Luffy is very similar to other Luffy, but also he just does not give a shit. He will go rack up a tab and then never pay it, and he'll steal money from a den of counterfeiters that he just broke up. Like, he does not care. He's just living his life and having a good time. And he doesn't seem to take things very seriously. Like, I could never see Chief Luffy getting that moment that Luffy does when he realizes somebody's freedom is being infringed upon and his eyes get all dark and he's like, grr, I'm gonna fight them. That doesn't seem like a Chief Luffy thing.
All right, really quick before Curse goes into his idea, I almost wonder if maybe because he doesn't have a clear goal that he's working towards, he doesn't have to get himself worked up about anyone who stands in his way, because all he cares about is keeping the peace, and I mean, he's a goddamn rubber man. Who's gonna stop him? So I think maybe that could be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Curse, weigh in.
I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say, I think the key differences are like the experience between the two of them. I think it's like if you took the same person, but didn't give them, I'm going to be king of the pirates, right? And he like Kat said, this is like the perfect role, I think, for Luffy's laid back nature when he doesn't have that ambition. And so like, he just kind of like wants to lounge around. And then also you notice a lot of people don't, I mean, he gets respect because he's the chief, but he's also not like the captain of everybody, right?
People aren't afraid of him. They're not going to like bend over backward for him.
Yeah, like I think if he told Sanji to do something, you know, Sanji wouldn't necessarily listen to him like he would in real One Piece, where like, I mean, he might, you know, he wouldn't listen to him you know, without thinking first, but he would also obey his captain sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think also part of it is he feels a little bit older, and I don't know if regular canon Pirate Luffy will in 10 years be more mellow, or if he'll always be Luffy. That's kind of the appeal to some people of shonen protagonists, is that they don't change that much. But this Luffy feels a little bit more laid back, and to me that feels like maybe he's just a little bit older, a little bit more mature. But, you know, things like he arrested the counterfeiter as kind of like an afterthought at the end of that first episode or whatever. Or the thing that really got me was him like encouraging Vivi to like come out and come play, and he like gave her the chance to like play with the tops. That just felt weirdly non-Luffy to me.
He feels like a father figure. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's this guy that you see around town and you say hi and he asks you how the farmer's market is and you're like, the farmer's market is great today, Chief. And he's like, that's good. And then there's a problem and you're like, oh no, Chief, there's a problem. And he's like, there aren't problems in this town. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I like this version of Luffy. I like both versions of Luffy, but I'm glad that we get more of these characters and potentially more of Ninja Assassin Robin, who is kind of a thing.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't know what her role was.
Yeah.
She was just kind of like in the background
She's like
watching out for Vivi.
Vivi's secret bodyguard person, I guess. I don't know. Konoichi Robin is best Robin, though.
I like her aesthetic. They set her up to look like she was a bad guy, and then she ended up saving the day with no explanation, and it seemed like Vivi was the only one who saw her there. So I think you're right that she's a secret agent, but just like a single line from Vivi being like, oh yeah, my bodyguard. My dad said that he was gonna...
Maybe the next Boss Luffy episode will have Crocodile in it, and that'll explain what Robin's doing.
Oh my god. I wonder, as we go forward, if they're going to revisit old familiar faces, or if each special will incorporate whichever characters have shown up more recently. So I wonder if the next Boss Luffy special might have, like, CP9 in it, because they're the villains that we didn't have at the time of the last special.
I could see it going either way. I think they'll probably do whatever like fan favorites were up until that point, right? So like they brought Buggy back because he hadn't been back in a while, and I think people kind of generally remember him.
Yeah.
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
Shout out to Simply Scarlet on Twitter, because she would bemoan and decry the fact that we got a Buggy reappearance, and Kabaji, and Richie, and... I don't remember what the last one's name is, but we got all of the Buggy crew, the original Buggy crew, but no Alvida.
Very sad. Okay, so my oh my gosh a second ago before I was rudely interrupted.
Look, if Luffy doesn't give a neither do I.
Wait. It's gone now. I don't remember.
New characters, Crocodile, CP9.
Oh, yes! Leopard Man Samurai.
Ooh.
That's actually pretty cool. For half a second, I was like, ooh, do you get samurai armor with leopard print on it? But then I realized, no, Luffy still has his rubber powers, but I don't know. What character has an interesting devil fruit power that you would like to see reimagined as like a special talent, or they have a machine rather than their bodies have actually been transformed?
Smoker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. I do think whichever one is the animal type, I still get all the devil fruit types mixed up. I think they didn't pull that one into that universe because we saw the two guards from Alabasta, both in normal human form without any animal like characteristics at all, including one of them who I think always looked like a dog, if I remember right.
Chaka is the
Jackal.
Jackal, thank you. I was about to say the Anubis. I was like, no, that's a mythical creature.
Anubis is a jackal.
That's actually untrue because Chopper is technically a human Zoan.
Oh, you're right. So they didn't do it universally.
I wish that they had given Chopper... I wish he had been a Tanuki in this universe, the magical raccoon dog of Japan. And then the joke there could be everyone mistakes him for a reindeer. And he'd be like, no, I'm a Tanuki.
Would be so funny. I love that. All right, so we're actually coming close on time. Joel, I know you had one more fun question you wanted to ask us before we wrapped up.
Oh yeah, this is like a quick thought. You don't have to give necessarily a long explanation as to how the mechanics would work, or you don't have to defend your answer. But if you folks were writing a filler episode and it could take place in an alternate timeline, how would you like to reimagine the characters?
Get it, Curtis?
Huh. I think it would be fun to do, like, kind of an industrial era.
Are you talking steampunk?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I hadn't even thought about steampunk. I was just thinking straight, like, either Victorian England or, like, industrial America or, like, you know, the beginning of the industrialization in Japan.
Oh, my God. Who would be Luffy's carriage driver? You know?
Would Luffy be of noble birth, or would he be like a rowdy street urchin?
Okay, look, there's at some point there would be a chase scene with two carriages, and Luffy would be pursuing someone else, and I just need to know who's reining the horses.
Luffy is driving the carriage doing the chasing. Nami is a noble lady who is riding in it and screaming.
Okay.
Sorry, Curtis, I took control of your AU.
Yeah.
Continue.
Or she's probably not actually a noble lady. She's probably pretending to be on a heist, and she's hired Luffy, the street urchin, to help.
As the informant, that's pretty good.
That's
Also,
so
I would
funny.
accept, I think canonically, if they were to do an AU in Victorian England, I think Usopp would make the most sense as the carriage driver. But
that's
Zoro
true.
would also be funny because he could just get lost, like he could turn the horses down the wrong alley and they'd be like, Zoro, what the hell?
That's perfect. So I've got two. One is just a quick hit. Race car drivers.
Okay.
Just Mario Kart is
Okay.
what I'm imagining.
Oh, okay.
here.
One Piece Mario Kart. I gotcha.
Yes. Okay. My other one, I've been asking for this for a long, long time. I love it. I've written some fanfic in my heart about it. But role swapping. So Luffy and crew as Marines or government officials, and some of our favorite government people as pirates.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
And Luffy's dream is like to be the admiral.
Okay, I really, really like that. Okay, perfect. I'm not sure what my perfect AU would be. I think we've talked about this in one of the other filler episodes or specials or something like that. I would love a movie that is kind of like a weird, wacky, reality doesn't exist game board. Like, they are the pieces, and they throw giant dice, and then when they land on spaces, they, like, literally might get turned into statues or something, and they have to get to the end and they have to win the game before the bad guy does.
Dungeon Dice Pirates.
All right, and that is...
Nope. I have one more final thought. I'm so sorry. Joel, I know what your perfect AU is. They're all girls. They're all princesses, and they each have their own special magic power that corresponds to
magical
like, their
girl
outfit.
transformation. No. They're not all ladies all the time. They're all themselves, but they're superheroes. And when they transform, half of them are Sailor Moon-like magical girls, right? And that includes some of the men, like Sanji would transform and be like, what the hell? Or maybe you don't even play it for laughs. Maybe you play it seriously. It's 2019. but the other half are Super Sentai. They're Power Rangers. So Usopp gets like the Black Ranger outfit, and he's like, what you? He's doing like karate, and Luffy's just like, oh, this is so cool.
And that has been your final thought.
Outro goes here. And next episode, everyone, we have an extra special long episode. We are covering the rest of the train ride to Enies Lobby in one episode.
What?
We will be covering episodes 255 through 263. I don't know if the episode itself will be extra long, but we'll certainly have lots of material to talk about. Have a great morning, evening, or night, everyone, whatever applies to you.
Don't forget to drink your juice.
Bye.
Rumor is Luffy is smoking. Holy hell, is he going to catch fire?
Nah, he's just gonna get lung cancer.
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.